Yep, it was going to be a pretty gorgeous day. The nasty cold weather we've had most of the month was now completely gone. And in fact, so was most of the snow. Cattle were in their calving pens and they didn't have to put up with all the muck. And best of all, the gophers are up. Okay, we know them as gophers, but they're actually Richardson's ground squirrels. Not that it matters, they're gophers. The important thing here is that they are the very first sign that winter's coming to an end. And once they're up, spring won't be far behind. Or at least we hope so. They were part of the reason I was headed south. The other part was to look for eagles. They show up about this time of year because the gophers are up, and also because it's calving time on the southern Alberta ranches. No, the eagles don't bother the calves, but they clean up, what's left over from the birthing process. And one of the places I most often see eagles is here at the Granham Hutterite Colony Ranch. These guys calve out over 1,000 head of cows. That makes for a lot of work for the cowboys. They are constantly checking the cows for any calving problems, and then riding through and finding the newborns to put ear tags on them and register their birth. Yeah, it's a big job. I wouldn't have minded staying a bit longer, and I was planning to come back. But first I wanted to head a little bit further south, to the south end of the Porcupine Hills, and see what was going on there. These horses had taken shelter behind this old barn to get out of the wind, and it was blowing like crazy, as it often does down here. But that west wind was one of the big reasons why there wasn't much snow left. It was melting it, and that water was filling up the shallow sloughs, and, fortunately, the Old Man Reservoir. A year ago, this was nearly dry. Now it's looking pretty good. That wind was really gusting as it blew across the mountains and scattered clouds off to the east. Down along the Old Man River, yeah, it was blowing pretty hard there too. The wind turbines were whipping along, and I found a pair of eagles close to the water. They were leaning into it to keep from blowing off the branches, and one of them actually took off. And I did too. I told the guys at the colony that I'd be back to take some pictures over at their west ranch. Over here the wind wasn't blowing quite as hard, and it turned into a completely gorgeous day. This is Jaden, and after he checked the cattle in the pens, he headed out to the open grassland to see how the rest of the herd was doing. Man, if the valley is this beautiful right now at the tail end of winter, just imagine what it'll look like in spring. But this is southern Alberta, and winter could come roaring back at any time. So, yes, it looks like spring, and it feels like spring. But nope, it's not spring. At least, not yet.